Okay, so it turns out I was too embedded into this history stuff that I forgot that there was a chapter 7. So chapter 6 is not the last section. I mean, chapter 7 is. You know what? You wouldn't do any better than me if you had read this book. Like everything like going like on in my mind, like Yule, like Lee, Longstreet, Chamberlain, Buford, and like they're like so there's like 100 characters in here. But anyways, chapter 7 is a really like short chapter, you know? It's like one of those chapters that like doesn't deserve to be a chapter because it's like too short of a chapter. So chapter 7's name is Buford. He is the Union commander. General, I mean. I sound stupid, I should stop talking like this. Anyways, so Buford, after he checks on the situation, he returns back to Cemetery Hill, and then there's more and more discussion. You know, I think that like this book is like all war discussion. Yeah, but I think that part is like good. Yeah, and you can find out what happens to chapter 7 in detail. So actually, that was the end of section 2. Well, now it's the end of section 2 after chapter 7. So there's section 3 and section 4. I would do it, but it's like too much work, you know? You know, like that feeling where like it's too much work, it's too much of a burden. So honestly, section 2 is like probably not even half of it. It's probably like here. But and section 3 and 4 are really detailed, really juicy, and section 3 is the second day. So the second day has all the battles, all the fighting action. Section 4 has all the the ending part, like ending the war, and then like mourning, crying, dying, all that sad stuff. Okay, anyway, so I have decided not to do book reviews for section 3 and 4. 3 and 4 because I feel like those sections you should kind of read like to yourself. But I'll give you a basic summary of all of them. Section 3 is basically the second day. Second day has the most battle, the most action, the most dying, the most killing. And the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg is known as the greatest artillery ever fired in the history of America. So there's that. A lot of dying goes on, more military planning, and the second day is practically like it kind of already decides like who won and stuff. So what happens in the beginning of section 3 is that you'll realize that the Union is being pushed back. One of the Union generals, his name is Daniel Sickles. He decided to rebel, not like rebel, but like he wanted to kind of be independent. He took his unit out of the Union defense line. Now what's so big about that is because the Union line was shaped like a fish hook, like this, like this. So like no matter which direction you would attack the Union, they could always shoot back at you, and then they could always like bring reinforcements since they set up their defense line right next to Washington D.C. So they could protect Washington D.C. at the same time while bringing in reinforcements from Washington D.C. So that Union defense line was perfect until Sickles moved his unit out. So what happened was that the fish hook that was like this is now like this. So there's this huge gap, and it made the Union so vulnerable. What happened was Sickles' men, like the Confederates already got rid of them, and then the Union defense line became so vulnerable that Sickles was an idiot. So the Confederates went around. They separated into 2 or 3 groups, I think. They attacked the Union from every single side. But then, so what happened was the Confederates were like even with the Union now. So the Union defense line wasn't as strong, and the Confederates had a lot of infantry, and the Union had half cavalry and half infantry. So they would be fighting. And then the Union was almost down. They was almost down rock bottom. But then what happened was the Confederates forgot that they still had, the Union still had pickets then. Now I'm getting my men confused. Picket is part of the Confederate. Yeah, it is. Now that I think about it, it is. So the Union was defeating the Confederates, and then the Confederates had the last call. Is that what they call it? The last call? That was George Pickett's men. I realize now. I remember now. You know, I'm a ninth grader now, so like I'm trying to like remember like all those like past things from like 2 months ago, like maybe like 3 weeks ago, but like, so 2 weeks ago. I can't even handle like the oldness of like 8th grade. Anyways, that sounded really mean. But anyways, so the Confederates were going down and down and down until they hit like right here, and then they found Pickett's men. Pickett's men were the only fresh troops of Lee. Fresh meaning unharmed, fully armed. That rhymed. Unharmed, fully armed. In a farm, getting tarm. Ew. Scratch that. Let's bring another cookie in. So, Pickett's men were the last hope for the Confederates. However, that didn't turn out so well. That's kind of like the end of section 3. Section 4 starts off with Pickett's charge. Now, Pickett's charge was the most memorable event for the Confederates. What they did was, with the Confederates, last maybe 100 of Lee's old men, and then a few hundred of Pickett's men. They joined forces, and then they came to a position where the Union was right here. The Confederate were literally 10 feet apart. Then there was a wall dividing the Union and the Confederate, the borderline. And then they had artillery, they still had guns, and they still had knives and bows and cannons and stuff. But if they're 10 feet apart, they'll kill you by the time that you try to put a cannonball in. So then it was all dependent on hand-to-hand combat. That's where it gets interesting. So after they fought for about 15 minutes on hand-to-hand combat, and then the Union ended up in victory. So, and then that's where Longstreet blames Lee, and then all that drama stuff comes in. And then Ewell looks around, he sees all the dead bodies, and more Union troops died. Well, because they had more troops in the first place. But Confederates gave it their best go. And what happened was Lee was I thought I could win Chamberlain for once, because Chamberlain was the commander. He was the commander that had the best strategies, that you can't ever overcome his strategies. And that was true until Lee thought that he had the best strategy. What happened was during section 3, there was a time where that Union forces went down. That wasn't the Sickles unit moving out, but the Union forces went down. Then Lee saw his chance. He's like, oh, maybe, just maybe I can win Chamberlain for once. But he didn't, so sucks for you. So that's what happened in section 4, and then a lot of people died. Actually, mostly everyone died, except for the main characters, because they're the main characters. So I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to read section 3 and 4, because it's something that you should read yourself. Section 1 and 2 is kind of more explanatory. It's really easy to explain. Section 3 and 4, I would have to take up your whole lifetime to explain it. So this is the end of the Killer Angels, and I said in the beginning that it's hard, it's tough, it's boring. It's true. I admit it. And I'm pretty sure you would admit it too if you read this book. But I think it's one of those books where you just have to fight through it, and because it's just those kind of great books that you can't miss out. It's like Fahrenheit 451. You see no point in reading about like some like dude burning books or something. This is about some dude burning bodies. Same thing, but you still have to read it because it is about the American Revolution. Yeah, American Revolution. It's about the Civil War. It's about the Battle of Gettysburg. Now, if you go to Gettysburg, it's so peaceful. But then, if you learn about the Civil War and read this book, the dark past of Gettysburg. And I think that's really important if you're gonna live in America. If you're not gonna live in America, what do I care? But still read this because reading comprehension skills, all that Asian stuff. So read this book, and I hope you can tell me what you feel about it, and if you have any questions, please don't ask me because I'm tired already. If you have any questions, go on SparkNotes. It's a great site. And have a great summer. Probably see you again, but have a great summer. I'm not having such a good one because I'm going to summer school, but you have a great summer.